My name is Apurva Prakash from the Department of Elementary Education, Miranda House. Today, we will be looking at Chapter 8, Cell, Structure and Functions of Class 8, Science NCERT textbook.
We are aware that everything around us is either living or non-living.
Growth, movement, reproduction, breathing, excretion, and other essential processes are carried out by all living organisms. These functions are carried out by several organs. So today we'll study about the cell, which is the basic structural unit of an organ. Cells can be compared to bricks in a wall. A building is constructed by putting together bricks. Similarly, cells come together to form an organism's body. Discovery of cell. Under a basic magnifying device, Robert Hooke examined slices of cork in 1665. Cork is a part of tree's bark. He took thin slices and examined them under a microscope. He saw partitioned boxes or compartments in the cork slice. These boxes had the appearance of a honeycomb. He also noticed that a wall or partition divided one box from the other. For each box, Hooke used the word cell. What Hooke observed as boxes or cells in the cork were actually dead cells. After the development of better microscopes, it was possible to observe the cells of live organisms. After Hooke's observations, little was known about the cell for next 150 years. Because of the improved microscopes with great magnification, we know a lot about cell structure and functions today. The cell. Both bricks in a building and cells in a living organisms are basic structural units. The building, though built of similar bricks, have different designs, shapes and sizes. Similarly, in the living world, organisms differ from each other, but all are made up of cells. But what is the difference between these bricks and cells? Cells in the living organisms are complex living structure, whereas bricks are non-living. Now let me ask you a question. A hen's egg can be seen easily. Is it a cell or a group of cells? This must be surprising, but the egg of a hen represents a single cell and is big enough to be seen with naked eye. Organisms show variety in cell number, shape, and size. Scientists use microscopes to observe and study different cells. They use stains or dyes to color parts of the cell to study the detailed structure. There are millions of living organisms of different shapes and sizes. Their organs also vary in shape, size, and number of cells. Let us study some of them. Number of cells. There are trillions of cells which vary in shapes and sizes in a human body. Different groups of cells perform a variety of functions. Organisms made of more than one cell are called multicellular organisms. Multi means many, cellular means cell. The number of cells being less in smaller organisms does not in any way affect the functioning of the organisms. You will be surprised to know that an organism with billions of cells begins life as a single cell, which is the fertilized egg. The fertilized egg cell multiplies and the number of cells increases as development proceeds. Now look at this picture of these organisms. Both these organisms are made of a single cell. The single-celled organisms are called unicellular organisms. Uni stands for one, cellular stands for cell. A single-celled organism performs all the necessary functions that multicellular organisms perform. A single-celled organism, like amoeba, which you just saw, captures and digests food, respires, excretes, grows and reproduces. Similar functions in multicellular organisms are carried out by a group of specialized cells forming different tissues. Tissues in turn form organs. Shape of cells. Now, how do you define the shape of amoeba? You may say that the shape appears irregular. In fact, the amoeba has no definite shape, unlike other organisms. It keeps on changing its shape. Observe the projections of varying lengths protruding out of its body. These are called pseudopodia. Pseudo stands for false, podia stands for feet. These are the false feet of the amoeba. Now, what advantage does amoeba derive by changing its shape? The change in shape is due to the formation of pseudopodia, which facilitates movement and helps in capturing food. Another example of the single cell is WBC, the white blood cell, which can change its shape. But while WBC is a cell, amoeba is a full-fledged organism capable of independent existence. And what would you expect in organisms with millions of cells? There are different cells such as blood cells, muscle cells, and nerve cells of human body. The different shapes are related to their specific functions. Generally, cells are round, spherical or elongated. Some cells are long and pointed at both ends. They exhibit a spindle shape. Cells sometimes are quite long. Some are branched like the nerve cell or a neuron. The nerve cell receives and transfers messages, thereby helping to control and coordinate the working of different parts of the body. Components of cells are enclosed in a membrane. This membrane provides shape to the cells of plants and animals. Cell wall is an additional covering over the cell membrane in plant cells. It gives shape and rigidity to these cells. Bacterial cells also have a cell wall. Size of cells. The size of cells in living organisms may be as small as a millionth of a meter, micrometer or micron, or maybe as large as a few centimeters. However, most of the cells are microscopic in size and are not visible to naked eye. They need to be enlarged or magnified by a microscope. The smallest cell is 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer in bacteria. The largest cell measuring 170 millimeter into 130 millimeter is the egg of an ostrich. So, are the cells in an elephant larger than the cells in a rat? The size of the cells has no relation to the size of the body of the animal or the plant. It is not necessary that cells in the elephant are much bigger than those in a rat. The size of the cell is related to its function. For example, the nerve cells both in rat and elephant are long and branched because they perform the same function, that is, of transferring messages. The cell structure and function. We have learned that each living organism has many organs and these organs together form an organ system. Each organ in the system performs different functions such as digestion, assimilation, and absorption. For example, the digestive organs which together constitute the digestive system. Similarly, different organs of a plant perform specific and specialized functions. Example, the root helps in absorption of water and minerals. The leaves are responsible for synthesis of food. Each organ is made up of smaller parts which are called tissues. A tissue is a group of similar cells performing a specific function. Now you must have realized that an organ is made up of tissues which in turn are made up of cells. That is why the cell in a living organism is the basic structural unit. I hope these topics are clear to you. Thank you so much for joining me.